he was great tonight. Like we said, couldn't miss from three. He was getting downhill. He was being aggressive. And I know it's been a process for him to get to this point where he's balancing point guard duties with still being Brad Beal the scorer, but it feels like he's getting a lot closer to that identity. And this is where we continue to point back to more time together, more continuity, more reps. It helps with that kind of feeling out process, especially when you look at they've played 40 some games together now, but they were so chopped up and off and on throughout the season. Now, if you can just stay healthy and string more weeks together, that's going to help with this process.
And hand out some flowers here. Of course, I think this goes without saying, but our big, bright, shiny star tonight, no surprise, Bradley Beal.
I'm a big, bright, shining star.
He finished with 36 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. He was 6 of 6 from deep. And can we also just bring up the post-game shenanigans with his teammates real quick? Because that was the cutest thing ever. Yeah. First, you got Thad and Royce coming over to hype him up. Josh Okogie gets in there barking at him. D-Lee, the way that Bradley Beal just sat there and took the entire bottle of water. Just let D-Lee have his fun. But
that's dangerous. He's so hot. You don't want to cool him down.
But then Nurk coming in, being just the sweetest Nurk like always with the towel to make sure he gets something to dry him off with.
Yeah.
That was the cutest interaction all season.
He's not a big, bright, shining star. He's a big Brad motherfucker. That's what he was the last 2 games.
That's facts.
No, he was great tonight. Like we said, couldn't miss from three. He was getting downhill. He was being aggressive. And I know it's been a process for him to get to this point where he's balancing point guard duties with still being Brad Beal the scorer, but it feels like he's getting a lot closer to that identity. And this is where we continue to point back to more time together, more continuity, more reps. It helps with that kind of feeling out process, especially when you look at they've played 40 some games together now, but they were so chopped up and off and on throughout the season. Now, if you can just stay healthy and string more weeks together, that's going to help with this process.
We've seen Kevin Durant in the playoffs have big moments. You think about, tying the game against the Bucks he was inches away from beating the Bucks in that series the year we went to the finals. You're talking about the Golden State finals run and him pulling up for three to basically catch that one in. He's had some huge moments, and even in OKC, Booker's had some huge moments as well, huge playoff performances. Brad hasn't really had any of that. He's never really been, he's gotten to the playoffs a couple times, but he's never had that iconic moment. And the one time that I remember, I don't even know if Bradley Beal played in the Paul Pierce bank game. Where he said, I called so, game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even the Wizards moment to me is not even a Brad Beal moment. I think right now Brad knows this is one of the best chances I'm going to have to make a run. And he has stepped up remarkably in the last couple weeks. You can see that he's gotten back into a groove. And the best thing about it too is there has been times against the Kings the other night, and I think a couple games before that, where he dunked and then he hurt his hand. Against the Kings, he hurt his hand, but he didn't let that bother him. He refused to come out. He played through that pain, and he continued to ball. Mm-hmm. And he's been an example for everybody else. And his emotion is what ultimately is going to shift this team to another level. And you could see it. And I said in the pregame, I wonder if that's going to carry over. That fourth quarter play, that emotion, it's time. I wonder if that was going to carry over. And damn, if it didn't carry over into that first quarter at the very least. I mean, they came out. It wasn't just offense. They scored a lot of points, but defensively, they were so locked in. That was probably their best defensive quarter of the year because everybody's hands were in the passing lanes. They were they were switching, they were communicating. Nobody was out of position. It was fantastic all the way around.
Yeah, I think that's been the most impressive thing about Brad for me too, is the defensive intensity. And he's had to play guys of all sizes, guards. He's played Zion. He just goes out there and does what he needs to do. And, it's not always the prettiest, but he goes out there and he takes on the challenge. KD has done that throughout the year. These guys can lock in defensively too. And what do we say? If they have a top 10 offense and a top 15 defense, that they would be a threat. And I think they finished at least very close to both of those things for the full season. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not making proclamations. I'm not freaking out right now, but I feel a lot better sitting here than I did a week or two ago, looking at your first round matchup and looking at how you finished out the final 2 games of this year.
I wonder if there's something to be said. Kevin Durant doesn't show a tremendous amount of emotion on the court. Even when he's grooving, he's not a rah guy on the court by any stretch of the imagination. Booker, very much the same way, very much just matter of fact, just get the job done and move on. Bradley Beal's facial expressions, his body language, I just feel like it has an impact on this team. Like when he hits a shot and then he turns around, he's just like gives that stank face look. Like that hypes guys up. Like they're like, yeah, let's go. Like it's a rallying kind of moment. And I just think that as they move forward, you're gonna need every little bit of that. Like when you're on the road and your teammates are supporting you, like you need every little bit of support as you go through this. And when you got a guy that's gassing you up, by the way, he's also playing, that can only take you to another level. And I'm just excited to see how this is all going to work out. And we still have not seen the big 3 play at peak at all the same time. And that's what I'm waiting for. And I feel like we're going to get that really, really soon.
I also think Beal's passion and like the emotion that he shows can get under the opponent's skin a little bit too, because that would piss me off if Beal did something like we've seen him do in a couple games in my face. I would be so pissed. But it just depends on how that emotion really affects them. Like it could galvanize them on one hand, and it could also get them too emotional on the other hand, where they start making emotional mistakes.
Well, I feel like the thing with Brad Beal and his trash talk is it's hard to get pissed off at a guy who's such a good and funny dude. Like I think that's the thing that gets under people's skin the most, is
That
the
they
fact
can't
that
get mad
they
at
know
him
that
for
Beal's
that.
like an
I guess you're
intelligent,
right,
well-spoken, funny guy, and like, man, fuck this guy, he's right. But like, and that was the one thing that came up in this game was when Beal and Anthony Edwards were kind of talking trash there. Bill Simmons tweeted something out about how, talking trash to Nurk. We're going to keep an eye on this developing story. And Jusuf Nurkic after the game, he quote tweeted it and said, "Developing your ass." I mean, it's an underrated thing, but there is that chemistry component that when Brad Beal is going, when Brad Beal is talking shit, when guys come to Brad Beal's defense and are hyping him up and backing him up, like it makes a difference. It makes a more cohesive locker room. And that's really important for a team that a lot of these guys are new. This is their first year together. And like we've talked about with Book and KD, they're more lead by examples guys. So this type of stuff, as trivial as it seems, it really does help with that chemistry building process.